we see the running of the 1980 Arnett Spillers Champion of Champions final, 457 metres, and the Tasmanian Greyhound Highland Summer has drawn box number 7, and he's quoted a 10-1 chance in the final tonight. The odds-on favourite is the New South Wales sprinter Fast Sapphire from box 1. On the line to talk about tonight's final, it's nice to have him back, Paul Ambrosoli from 2KY in Sydney. Good morning, Paul, and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Rod, and good evening to you. Seems as though every 12 months or so rolls round, and that's about the only time that we have the opportunity of speaking, which is very good. It's very good, but doesn't happen often enough.
No, it certainly doesn't, Paul. Paul, how do you rate the quality of tonight's field?
Oh, the quality is absolutely brilliant, Rod. You know, I would envisage that there is not another greyhound in Australia that deserves to be in the finals, in the grand final. Every champion or every top grade representative from the other states has made it through to the grand final, which is excellent indeed. It doesn't always happen in sprints. It is a little bit more prone to happen in the staying championship, but in the sprints there's always been upsets and the like on the way through the heats and the end of the final. But this time round, I think the only surprise was the fact that Vibrant King, the Victorian, went down to Pico again in the final, but of course they've both qualified for the grand final. I think it's an absolutely superb field. I haven't seen a better qualified grand final field for the Champion of Champions.
How would you rate New South Wales representatives tonight, Fast Sapphire and General Jeff, in comparison to recent years?
In comparison to recent years, Rod, is that what you said? Yeah, well, Fast Sapphire, you better remember this, that it is Harold Park.
Yes, we are, thanks.
You've just killed us.
Keep rolling, Paul.
You can edit that out, right? Where was I up to? Fast Sapphire in comparison to previous years. Okay?
Yes.
Well, you've got to look at it this way, Rod, that before you start comparing Fast Sapphire, you must realise that the race is at Harold Park. And Harold Park is a killer to many of the interstate greyhounds because it's a big course, it's the speed course. As far as Fast Sapphire is concerned, compared to greyhounds in the past that have run at Harold Park, he's brilliant. He's got to be brilliant because he's won 15 starts from 34 starts. Now, in all, he's won 15 races. He's run second on 6 occasions and filled a minor position on 8 occasions. And that's 29 from 34. Tonight, if he wins the grand final, he wins 16 races and breaks the record held by Soul Force. Now, Soul Force was no slouch getting around Harold Park. He got under 26 seconds neat on one occasion. Fast Sapphire hasn't recorded that faster time at Harold Park, but you can work out that winning 16 races. And most of those, remember this, most of those have been in free-for-all. In fact, I venture to say more of those have been in free-for-all and invitation class than Soul Force. So he's an absolute freak at the track. He is racing particularly well at the moment. He's got his mind on the winning post, and that's it. He might be putting much on the clock as far as the Fast Sapphire Old is concerned, but then the difference between about 26.3 and 26.5 is very marginal. He has recorded 26.14 in the past. And I suppose if he got down around 26.14 tonight, he'd win this race with a leg in the air. But he's not putting anything on the clock, Rod, but he's doing it and doing it well. He's doing everything right in winning his races. And, you know, to draw a comparison for Fast Sapphire to greyhounds of the past is perhaps a little bit unfair in as much as he, on many occasions, hasn't recorded as fast a time as them, but then he's won more races than them. And, you know, that's one hell of a feat. And you can't be asking much more than that from the greyhound.
No. General Jeff, inclined to be a little bit slow early?
Jeff is inclined to be a bit slow to the first corner here at Harold Park. Harold Park is not his track as compared to Wentworth Park, but I'll make this statement. The 2 out, General Jeff, is the best greyhound in Australia. There's no greyhound that can beat General Jeff 2 out in Australia. He is a freak. At Wentworth Park, he has done things that you just don't see. His last start win at Wentworth Park was absolutely unbelievable. You just couldn't credit what he did. There is no other greyhound that can run the second section in Australia like General Jeff at Wentworth Park. In fact, there's no greyhound, full stop, period. He's just an absolute freak at the place. He can spot them. Well, I think he spotted last start. He spotted Lord Raleigh 6 lengths on the home corner, getting into trouble, and then just picked himself up and went swoosh and nailed him. And they ran a kick over 31, I think. Just incredible. He's a freak. But at Harold Park, he's slow early. He will be one of the last on settling down. Jimmy Coleman, the trainer of the greyhound, has, let's face it, he has a remarkable record in big races. But I think that even Jimmy's wand will have to be working overtime for General Jeff to get home tonight. I do think he'll run the Quinella in the race, but he gets so far back that it's even with allowing for the fact that some of the interstate contingent are going to be rather wayward on the course. General Jeff is going to have his problems giving them such an enormous start. He will be absolutely charging at the finish of the race. But, you just can't give away start at Harold Park to the like of him. He gets a long way back in the race. I can't see, on the final night, he had all the trouble in the world getting underneath the greyhound by the name of Petite Tiffany. Now, Petite Tiffany's an honest little campaigner here. She's won 3 or 4 races at Wentworth Park, but she's nothing flash at Harold Park, and General Jeff took half an hour to get around her and finally went underneath her and charged in second place. Well, like Petite Tiffany couldn't hold a candle to any of these greyhounds here at Harold Park. So, he's just a bit of a fumblefoot around the place, and that's his biggest hang-up.
Well, what do you think about the interstate contingent? Who would you rate as probably their best chance to knock out Fast Sapphire and General Jeff?
Well, I'm not, how shall I say...
I know you've had a big week.
Yes, a big one?
I know you've had a big week.
I have. Been all around the state this week, Rod. I'm not being funny when I say this, and I honestly believe the one greyhound in the race that is going, if any one greyhound is going to trouble the 2 favourites, it's got to be your greyhound, your representative, Highland Summer. He has trialled 26.68 here, and he's got under 26.6 in his second trial. He is accustomed to racing on distances and on tracks that are very similar to Harold Park, and this is an enormous asset to Highland Summer. Now, White Panther is being really tipped as the main danger to Fast Sapphire. Well, I've seen White Panther, I think, once in the flesh and about 3 times on film when he's been winning races. And, on what I've seen of White Panther, he can't possibly handle Harold Park anywhere near the like of Fast Sapphire, regardless of his speed or anything of that nature. He's trialled out here and got under 26.5, I think, or I'm just not too...
Yeah, 26.40, I think he went last Tuesday, yeah.
That's fine for him to trial 26.4, 1 out or 2 out. Plenty of greyhounds can trial 26.4. I've got a couple of dogs up them, get down to 26.4. But, to put them in a race, and to put them in a race of this nature, they're going to be flat chat running 26.4 at a full field. Yeah. And, of course, once you get interstate representatives who get onto the big course and they drop the bustle and the hustle of the big race, the 26.4 suddenly loses about 6/10 and looks horribly plain when it's stacked up against the winner when it's running about 26.5 or something of that nature.
So you're not really putting that much emphasis on times for tonight's final?
No, I'm not. Let's face it, plenty of these big races and plenty of invitation and free-for-alls, Rod, are run in slower time than lower grade races on the night. But people forget that, they are professional racing machines. They know how to handle themselves. They know where the winning post is. They know everything. They are professional racers, and as a consequence, many times they sacrifice time for skill. And over Fast Sapphire here tonight. As I said, White Panther, if he can come out and run his 26.4 and run it honestly, well, that's fair enough. But I do think that Highland Summer, the Tasmanian, is the greyhound from the interstate clan that is going to be hardest to beat. Chief Vader, the Western Australian, I've seen him a fair amount of times on film, and there's no possible way in the world he can handle Harold Park on what I've seen from him. The other one, Vibrant King, he just has never, ever appealed as a Harold Park type greyhound, Vibrant King, and let's face it, as classy and as brilliant as he is, and I think it's an absolute freak of nature that he's found his way to the grand final. I think it's a brilliant training piece. Vibrant King is just not a Harold Park greyhound. Jason's Trace, they put plenty of money on here some time ago to win a low-grade race. He went very, very disappointingly. So you've got to obviously pin him and say no. And that's just about it. There we go. Pico again has been given no chance whatsoever, and that's why I came back to Highland Summer. White Panther is obviously the next best, but I just think that Highland Summer is the greyhound that from the interstate clan that is going to be hardest to beat. Tell me this, how does he handle himself on the big tracks down there, Rod?
Well, he's handled most tracks. He's probably gone better in Launceston. Well, he's got an incredible record at Launceston with the 2 straights back and front, Paul, but he's also handled the very tight Hobart circuit, as you've seen quite well. Devonport, he hasn't been around there that much, but he's won his fair share around there, of course. I think he's got to be at least a place chance in this final tonight if he does everything right.
He's got drawn, let me see, he's got drawn inside and outside of him. Well, Pico again is going to worry him, and neither Chief Vader and Vibrant King should be able to start the track a little bit for him. I think he's going to get a fair run.
Well, just before we leave this morning, we are very interested in the race down at Harold Park tonight at 5 minutes to 11. Lucky Dog, 3rd Division, it's over 4:57. We've got a couple of interests in Tasmanian greyhounds here in Time Bonus and Bone Giller, and we'll be taking a call of that race tonight. How do you rate their chances in that field?
Well, Bone Giller I haven't seen, Rod. The other one, Time Bonus, I saw the other night. Time Bonus was very, very strange to the track at Harold Park the first time up. I think he put 5-2 out to 8 or 9-1 in the race. So obviously connections were of the opinion that he needed the run. And if he's got any pace whatsoever, then, you know, if he can overcome the 5 box, he's got to be a chance. I've tipped King Iger in the race to beat Time Bonus. And King Iger, at this stage, is the ruling favourite ahead of Mark and Eve. Mark and Eve, which ran that sensational 26.15 2 starts back. King Iger is perfectly boxed out there, but he's terribly awkward. Mark and Eve can run time if he begins, but 99 times out of 100 he doesn't. He's had 44 tries or whatever here at Harold Park for one win in fast time, but if he's on his best foot, he's going to be hard to beat. So therefore you can ascertain that the 5 box for Time Bonus is perhaps not as bad as it first looks, and if he can spear out, then he can get down to time that could be satisfactory to win the race. Say Bone Giller I haven't seen, but he's awkwardly drawn in the 6 alley. At this stage, Time Bonus is a 5-1 chance, and Bone Giller is a 12-1 chance in the race.
Right. Well, we'll pick that call up tonight at 5 to 11.
Dad will have you with us at that time, then, Ron.
Yeah. Paul, our new greyhound complex is tentatively set down to open in Hobart on November the 6th, a Thursday night. I don't suppose there's any possibility of you getting down?
I'd love to get down there for it. It'd be marvellous, Rod.
Will an invitation help? Would an invitation help?
Yes, it might. There, I've got a few problems in getting down right at this stage. That's in December, is it?
No, 6th of November, Paul.
November. Yes, the schedule is rather tight at the moment, Rodney, let me tell you. From here through until Christmas, well, actually through until January, we have an enormous schedule here in Sydney with feature races. From auction sales through to feature races. The schedule is very, very tight indeed, but I would love to see the complex open. How much, roughly, how much has it cost for the new complex, Rod?
No one's really putting an exact figure on it, Paul. It seems to be escalating all the time, but it's run into a couple of million.
That's that much, is it?
Fantastic complex, and I think it'll only do the world of good for greyhound racing in Hobart for sure.
Well, you know, it's the same. You've most probably got the same thing in Hobart as we have here in Sydney at this stage. The NCA is at the absolute base stage of building a new grandstand, and it will be grand. And the thing is that it won't only be giving greyhound racing something, it'll be giving the whole of Sydney something. And I would envisage that your new racetrack will be also giving Hobart something, and just not for the racing fraternity, but for the people in general who can spend a good, enjoyable night out at very reasonable rates.
I think that's the way to work out. Paul Ambrosoli, thank you very much for your time this morning in Turf Talk, and we'll look forward to hearing your call of the national final from Harold Park at 9 o'clock and also the last at 5 to 11.
Thank you, Rod.
Flowchart.